打先手离开这个位置，绕后这一波我在第5层。 离开直接旋转了起来，这边拿波马努的比赛给转大，团战！哇！到底谁先黑？这个时候谁先黑，谁就会赢团战。
反手黑，这边黑了3个、4个，在炸车边没有人敢去碰车。
그리고 중력풍계 올렸는데요. 비트까지 쓰고.
네, 확실하게 우선 붙여서 리스폰을 꼬아버리고 100대 0 만듭니다. 설상타만 5연속 킬 준비.
Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for our second series of the evening. Achilles and Wolf here to take over. Let Jake and ZP get some rest. We're in the correct time zone though for these matches, and we've got an interesting one coming up next. Wolf, this is going to be the London Spitfire going up against the Chengdu Hunters.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is a series that should be pretty close. Like it could be. We'll see how London performs, really. I mean, I think everybody knows the Chengdu Hunters are looking pretty decent this season. Hard to gauge them completely, obviously, with our regions kind of split in half right now. But London has been a big question mark since the season began. They've come to a very competitive region in APAC. And I think beating Chengdu here would make a pretty decent size statement because their previous 2 opponents have been really tough for them. So it's hard to judge London Spitfire based on those performances. But we'll see how they do on in their match against Chengdu today. I think it would be a big, it feels like first step for them to take the match today.
Yeah, I mean, in their their series last week, they were one of the 4 teams that we got to see. It was we only had 1 day of APAC matches. It was rough around the edges. We wanted to see them go a little bit more experimental, kind of pull out all the stops rather than try and play the meta against a team that was superior than them at the meta. They did do that, but as we go ahead and take a look at the starting 6, we can see that we are just going to be going back to that original starting lineup.
Yeah, no Bernard. So going back to Cleston, this is going back to like their first real successful roster this season. This is kind of a roster we saw even back in the Houston homestand, way back then, if everyone remembers that, early on. So Glycerin, although in the DPS lineup, JMac, the main tank still, that usually doesn't change. Cleston over Bernard, and then Hylian and Sanguinar rounding out the support line. So, I don't think we're necessarily going to see this roster throughout the entirety of the series. We saw a lot of changes in their previous series, so let's see how this pans out.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this is a series that could be close, but it's more about how London is going to compete rather than whether or not Chengdu kind of drops the ball. We expect them to be pretty consistent across the board. It's the London Spitfire as this younger-blooded squad that needs to step up and take those maps, those wins away from the other teams that have had more experience in the Overwatch League. We will go ahead and take a look at our starting 6 for the Chengdu Hunters.
Yeah, for Chengdu, they're going to have Iveltal in with Molly for the support line, Elsa and Among on tanks, and Jinmu and Leave, as you'd expect, going to be the DPS players here. Among is in right now, and we're seeing a little bit of Wrecking Ball in these sort of dive variations we're seeing right now. Tonight, we've seen only kind of Widow Tracer, it feels like, with a few other mixed in compositions like the Torbjorn we saw just earlier. But I think that with Wrecking Ball being this prevalent in this meta, I think that we are going to see a lot of Among throughout the rest of this week of play. And this is, by the way, I don't know if it was mentioned by the cast or the previous cast, but this is going to be Wrecking Ball with no exploit, none of the really fast spinny thing where you could basically get that momentum to repeat itself. And you've probably seen the Twitter clips of people blowing people up with Wrecking Ball. Yeah. That's fixed on this patch, same patch as last week, but not going to be seeing any crazy Wrecking Ball tech or shenanigans. Just good old Among Wrecking Ball, we hope. So.
Oh, well, we will find out momentarily as we get ready to jump in for our first map of this series. We will be kicking things off on Nepal for Control, and we'll see just how deep we can go into this set. We got surprised with that map 5 there with the Seoul Dynasty nearly pulling off a reverse sweep in our first series that just ended. But maybe we can go there again here with London Spitfire, see just how deep this rabbit hole can go today.
Yeah, that is the question, and we have these extended days of Overwatch here in Asia now. It's like it feels like it's my birthday every day we have one of these because we get 3 matches, 3 what's essentially best of 5s through first to 3 series which is, you know, something we've never had before when you and I have been casting out here in Korea. So lots and lots of high-quality Overwatch. For the London Spitfire here, it's looking like we are going to see that Tracer strategy from the get-go. Widowmaker can be quite viable here. McCree is also a strong option on Sanctum, but a lot less meta nowadays. And Chengdu is going to go with the Mei variation. No Reaper with this, just going to be running the Mei and Ashe. So Widow duel, or rather Sniper duel, favors the Widow here.
Well, we'll see how things transpire. Elsa just pushing up that right side flank is completely rerouting the London Spitfire members who were playing along that side. Now all push them over towards the pit. Don't have a wrecking ball or anything to kind of barrel through them and try to get some knockoff kills, so we'll be seeing any environmental ones. You can see Elsa has just been steady walking at them the entire time. He has not been shoved back at all. This is the first time that he's going to dip around the corner. Sees that the Mega Pack has been taken, however, by Jinmu already, so we'll just go ahead straight back over onto the offensive and try and find some kills. Turns around to deny any potential headshots that could come through. But now you can see Aldo getting up close and personal with him. Kinetic Grasp, rather, not going to be lasting too long, so he will get picked off, but Glister gets taken down at the same time by Among. Point unlocked. Aldo wraps his way over there and starts getting the cap here for the side of the London Spitfires. We do see the Ant Matrix thrown in by Hiley. Play off the point, goes back over. And you can see this complete reroute, this ring around the Rosie as the Chengdu Hunters ended back over towards their spawn doors with London Spitfire pressed up against them. They shove them back. They get the first cap. Fantastically done by London.
Yeah. They overextended quite a bit, and the fact that Elsa was on that heavy flank made it hard for them to stick together. That's why you saw Jinmu at the last moment there actually get stagger killed because he was alone, couldn't rejoin the squad. Mei is a super immobile hero, so when she gets caught out like that, I mean, you don't have a lot of options, especially when there's no way to like connect an ice bridge or anything like that to get her back across. So she just has to reset there, and Jinmu's now back with the squad for what's going to be a pretty tough push to cross the gap with.
Yeah,
they don't have Trance yet, but they will soon as London Spitfire.
Yeah. Pulse bomb there from Aldo doesn't net them much. The bomb just going to be tossed out, but they just play behind the barriers, play around the corner. They get the halt in with the flux, slam them back down. The bomb manages to find one as J-Mac will fall. That's all they get at the back of those ultimates, though. Chengdu Hunters, however, do manage to get a flip. Elsa pushing around the corner, trying to get some extra tags in. Does get taken rather low, but will steadily get healed back up to safety. So for now, Chengdu Hunters going to be in full position to go ahead and maintain control of this point for a while, and although is still very far away from that next pulse bomb, so trying to burst open the point is going to be rather difficult unless Glister can get some serious headshots in, and there's going to be one of them as Lead gets taken down. Nettleflex will come through. Lesson catches a few, slams him back in, but we'll see that Immortality Field helping to keep everybody topped up. He pushes quite far forward now, will get frozen as a Blizzard comes in, but the back cap is there from Aldo. But can he do enough to turn this around? There's already 2 kills here. One onto the support, one onto the tank, so it seems like despite the back cap, they'll get a little bit of extra percentage here, but Chengdu Hunters will be able to retake.
Yeah. That's a smart move by Aldo because the fight was clearly going to be lost. Jinmu was holding a Blizzard there. They had the choke controlled even with that opening pick for the Spitfire. There's just almost no way you win that. He was able to slip through unnoticed and got to the point. So you lose the fight, but you actually gain a little percentage and you cost your opponent the same amount of time in terms of building percentage. So take a bad situation, turn it into a less bad one, I guess is the, you know, end of the story here.
Mitigating your losses.
But yeah, cutting your losses big time. Glister actually has an opportunity here, but he does not take it.
They're looking for that halt through, doesn't quite catch Glister, who pokes around the corner, finds Leave yet again. Fantastically done, but they need a little bit more than that if they want to be able to push forward here onto the point. Jinmu's still going to be trying to gate people out as best as possible and isolate somebody with that ice wall should they come up just a little bit too quickly and away from the rest of the squad. On there onto Aldo, but they cannot line up that headshot with the icicle. Jinmu under a little bit of pressure, wraps around, gets the Mega Pack, now comes in behind the enemy team. Immortality Field, however, going to be taken down for the side of the Chengdu Hunters, and they are just going to be the ones on the poor end of the kill feed right now, just completely getting slaughtered on the side of the map. Cap coming through from Aldo. Seems like Aldo is maybe the only person on the side of the Spitfire who is yet to touch the point, and he will be the one to go ahead and flip this back in the Spitfire's favor as we roll into overtime for Chengdu.
London Spitfire have Transcends online now, and they have this defender's advantage. They don't have the same... Ooh, that's a nice pick. They don't have the same sort of control over the choke that Chengdu had previously with the Blizzard, etc. So, you know, picks like this are actually really going to start breaking Spitfire open. The Trance, if they have to use it early, gives the Chengdu Hunters a really good opportunity to wrestle this back and take this first round. Since somehow is really the best case scenario here for London Spitfire to make sure they can use their Trance second.
Really well timed. They use the halt to pull Glister so Leave can get across the gap. Glister rotates over to the side. He's looking for the shot here on
Molly
Jinmu, who
first.
nearly has the Blizzard online. Molly does transfers, but now Highly going to be taken down before Sanguinar can try and save his life. Dynamite goes in. Bomb out as well. The Flux from Cleston manages to find Jinmu. Now Molly going to be taken down. Going to be a 2-for-1 with Highly coming back online. The bomb, however, from Leaf gets rid of all of though. He gets a follow-up shot on the Sanguinar, and Cleston is gone from the Flux. Chengdu Hunters in the double overtime in control of the point. It seems like no one is going to be able to touch this here. Glister tries to get there with a grapple hook, but it's just not going to be in time, and he just wouldn't have been able to do nearly enough to get that back into their favor. But a very close first round of Nepal goes the way of the Chengdu Hunters, 199%.
Yeah, it feels like there's a lot of Tracer picks coming through where you're seeing the Widowmaker actually kill the Tracer player, and that's going to happen a lot on Sanctum because the areas you can flank on as Tracer are very limited. You have to go through very small, narrow paths. So if you just hear a Tracer running towards you, it's very easy to snipe that Tracer as she flanks you because she's exposed and doesn't have a lot of room to work with. So really nice plays on both sides in terms of the hit scan, and this is kind of the mini new meta we're seeing develop right now is Tracer Widow. In this case, though, for Chengdu Hunters, we are going to see that Wrecking Ball roll out, and it's going to be the good old Tracer Pharah comp. Very popular in early days before the Overwatch League to see this composition run because the Tracer finishes off the weekend targets. You know, you chip them down with the Pharah, and then Tracer just kind of zips around and cleans up the kills. Very difficult to deal with if you don't have long-range hit scan, and Glister is going to struggle to find an angle here on this neutral fight.
Oh, he's going to
because obviously he didn't know about it before.
Yeah, goes to the Widowmaker. Jinmu immediately pulls away out of sidelines. They'll see the McCree now. So he knows that he's got a little bit more room to work with. The one-shot potential is going to be gone. Chengdu Hunters, though, because of that delay, due to the Pharah composition, are able to go ahead and freely lock down the point first and foremost. So at least will be generating percentage here for themselves. So already winning one minor battle. Among going to be dropping down, gets a very short roll through, just trying to displace people, but no one really there to try and scoop up the kills. Taking a little bit of damage back over onto the point while Jinmu just continues to pressure the members of the London Spitfire who are trying to exit and get out into the open, but it's proving rather difficult for them. He will hit the ground. Among going to be taken down. Cleston finds that pick, and Jinmu under fire nearly falls. He'll get top back up. As Elsa tries to gate everybody else off over by the point. Rockets coming through. Cleston, kill denied, will get taken down by that rocket. Jinmu continuously, though, as he tries to poke down and show his face on the point to get some rockets through, just gets hammered by Glister time and time again.
They need to regroup.
Yeah, it's just
Chengdu needs to regroup here. They're wasting
a
lot of time.
He's got the barrage online, but actually nailing this one is going to be so difficult. He's got the flashbang. He's going to go ahead, drops to the back, manages to find Highly, although will take him down. So they only find one. Yebeltal with the Deadeye will fall as well. Really nicely done there by Glister as Among tries to create some space, dropping in the minefield in the front of the point, and that will be enough to find all though, but is that going to be enough for the Chengdu Hunters to actually reclaim the point? It looks like it's going to be a no here. Elsa does have a Primal Rage online, but would pretty much be operating by himself. Leaps to the side, will be popping that one. Try to get this point back into their favor by displacing the members of the London Spitfire, but now he himself is going to be displaced as the whole hog does come through from Cleston. Shoving him back, Primal Rage expires, he gets chunked down to half HP. Yebeltal has to go back over and pocket him back to health. Highly going to be taken down, so another key pick coming through from Jinmu, but the point is still not yet there in favor of the Chengdu Hunters. And Jinmu himself is going to be taken out of the skies by Glister. Also leaping over, keeps himself safe. The pocket healing still coming through from Yebeltal, but they just have not been able to get this back into their favor. The London Spitfire very comfortably in the lead.
Chengdu is gifting London Spitfire so much percentage by just sticking around here, not regrouping, throwing in ultimates as well. This is actually insane.
Shatter drop.
Oh, huge shatter.
Manages to catch numerous members of the side of the Chengdu Hunters. Among and Yebeltal both going to get cleaned up there. And, I mean, London, maybe they just take this one very cleanly. 37% is all that the Chengdu Hunters have. They got that off that initial cap by forcing London Spitfire to shift their composition, but the Chengdu Hunters have not been willing to do the same, and they are failing to get their way back over onto the point. It's 85% now for London.
I mean, Chengdu Hunters fought for so long with a deficit in members and wasted ultimates, never regrouped, and basically just delayed the charge. Here's the nano commitment. They need this barrage to be big.
He's got the barrage online, does not pull the trigger for the Moira, instead goes around the side, manages to find Highly, follows up on the Sanguinar, cleans up both supports, gets J-Mac as well. It's a 4K in the fight for Jinmu. Fantastically done by the Pharah, but That's just a flip, and there's still a really long way to go for the Chengdu Hunters to close out Nepal. London Spitfire going to be coming back in. They will have a Coalescence. They will have a Deadeye.
So right now for London Spitfire, you know, you have this opportunity to knock one of this Mercy Pharah combo out of the sky if you hit the Deadeye correctly. And you know that Among has been trying to jump in and get these swing kills, these blow-up kills on the McCree. You could try to use that. You could try to bait that out, get that flashbang kill. The Glister knows he's up there. This is not a secret.
Yeah, get some very solid tags there on the Yamato forces out the Valkyrie, but it's not going to be enough.
There's that
get
kill.
Around the corner. That is the Deadeye kill coming through from Glister, as you were alluding to. And Jinmu has to duck way out behind the team and just throw in rockets at a distance and hope that he can land the shots to try and maintain control of the point, but the flip is coming through already. That will be the overtime forced out yet again. Sleep Dart connects onto Glister, but can anybody get the kills? Looking like the answer is going to be no. Instead, he's going to be woken up, gets the flashbang stun onto Elsa, and with the help of the whole hog, he's just going to be burned down. So they get rid of the scientist rather quickly. Jinmu still pressuring from the sides, gets a couple direct hits, now has a barrage online, but needs to stay safe and alive long enough to use this. Dumps that one through, manages to find J-Max, stays alive as the pocket healing comes back in from Yveltal. Jumps away with the concussive blast. Still only 80% here for the Chengdu Hunters, but it seems like they might be winning the fight. But London Spitfire, they say no. We want to close it out right now. They drop the barrier, and Sanguinar leads the charge, finds a kill onto Yveltal, who is normally going to be the bloodthirsty support. So he turns that one around completely on its head. Closes out onto him. Now Amon going to be gone as well, and they get forced off the point long enough for OT to bleed down. London Spitfire will be able to take the second round of Nepal.
Yeah, Jinmu was playing super well there at the end. It's insane. Like, you could see how hard he was trying to do so much with so little, but doesn't end up mattering. That was a pretty sloppy round for Chengdu. I mean, not only did we see them, you know, in that moment where they kept fighting and London had control of the point, it was like the moment where you as London, you're like, is this real? Like, are they just not even going to do a real team fight? We have control. It's almost as if Chengdu forgot that they didn't have control. I mean, I'm being a bit facetious, but just taking those fights really gave London such a nice buffer and an ult advantage. And they tried to when they got the point back the second time. They tried to use the same Among strategy, the exact same one. London Spitfire called it out immediately, and they just escorted Glister into a spot where you get that Deadeye kill. London Spitfire going to change comp up a little bit here. And we're going to see J-Mac on the Reinhardt, so excited to see how that pans out, whereas the Hunter's going to stick with the Sparrow.
Bionade onto 2, and J-Mac being one of them means that he gets taken down rather quickly. Leave close and personal, manages to find the kill onto the enemy Ryan, dashes over as he falls down to 70 HP, grabs the Mega Pack to make sure that he has some longevity in any continued fight that might break out, but losing out on the Reinhardt is going to slow things down for London. So this will just be another cap here for Chengdu as Jinmu hovers above, tries to get those rockets to land, get the barrage online. Glister struggling to get out into open air to actually get some shots through, but when he does, he fires straight and through, manages to get Jinmu out of the fight. Yveltal, haven't seen a res come through yet. Now he's got to pick. Do you want the Pharah? Do you want the Winston? Can he even go for either? It seems like the answer is going to be no, as we have not seen it yet. And Leaf hooked in, finished off by Cluston. Instead, a very fast flip comes back in favor of the London Spitfire, who are now in control. Only 18% surrender to Chengdu.
Yeah, I mean, Glister is just taking every opportunity he gets. I mean, that's insane. Yveltal, you know, I know he's one of your favorite.
He gets away
players,
with
man,
so much.
He's such a survivable player. But, you know, Glister is taking these opportunities to kill Jinmu whenever he's, you know, if he peeks out even a little bit, you can see it right here. I mean, the shots are coming through. It's making it so frustrating for the Chengdu Hunters. They have to collapse onto Glister when Jinmu pokes out, and it requires a lot of coordination to do that.
Minefield
so looking fantastic so far for London here.
Yeah, Minefield not really on the point. The rest of London are already into safety. Cluston with a whole hog manages to find aim of Jinmu. Gets Nano, tries to dash in behind everybody. He takes a lot of damage and cannot focus on getting damage output, so he doesn't get a barrage online. So now we'll not have that Nano boost to help him survive when he pulls the trigger on that. Pushes over to try and take down Cluston. Goes ahead, pops the ultimate, will manage to find him. Uses the rest of the barrage to try and zone back any other members of London Spitfire who might have been trying to push forward to save the Roadhog's life, but they just write that off. They say that's tax deductible, that's no problem. They just maintain control of the point here for the moment, and Glister has the flank covered so no one can try to get a flank angle. Jinmu does find Sanguinar, really, but now Glister finds Molly, so it's still going to be a 1-for-1 exchange on these supports. Recall going to be forced out. Among trying to roll through, gets hooked back in, tries to go for the pile driver, but will just be dead on arrival as he hits the ground.
I mean, they're on the point right now, but they just don't have the numbers. They don't have the sticking power here. Jinmu is doing as best as he can. Gets that pick up the Glister.
He's doing his damnedest, but this does feel like the Jinmu show versus all the London Spitfire. Also going to be hosed down by the Coalescence. We are at 92% here for the London Spitfire, who look to close out the map. Just a fraction away from getting that flip there where the Chengdu Hunters, but they cannot get across the board here. And now with Leave taken down, you have to expect that this should just be London closing things out, barring a miracle now for the Chengdu Hunters. The barrage is about to be online, and it's got to be a huge one from Jinmu. He drops in straight on top of the shield, manages to break that down, does get rid of J-Mac. Is that going to be enough? They get the flip here. Direct tag comes through onto Although. It seems like they do get a second lease on life, but again, there is so much time for London. They just need one flip, one fight, and then they close this out. Chengdu Hunters, they're in this for the long haul.
Chengdu Hunters don't really have a comp right now either. Like, this Doomfist with the Para is not really I mean, everything obviously pretty normal, but you're going to really struggle, I think, to find value with this Doomfist here, with the ability to just, first of all, either hook him right away and blow him up instantly, or just have a flashbang take him out. I mean, Glister counters everything right now.
Do they realize that this back cap is happening?
Got the Deadeye. I don't know if he's going to get this pick this time.
But yet again, we just see the point taken away. London Spitfire are able to go ahead and wrap around. Pile Driver coming through from Among gets a little bit of damage in. Flashbang around the corner looking for Elsa, who's still rather healthy with a primal range, but starts taking considerably more damage now. Jinmu with another barrage. Can he save them? The flip is there in favor of London. You see the zone them off the point for a little bit longer. The barrage is going to be dropped in. Manages to find one, but that's as good as it gets. There's 3 kills there. A res will come out from Yebeltal, bringing Jinmu back into the mix, but again, he's just not going to be able to survive. There's too many tools available to deal with the bar. The pulse bump from Although gets rid of Molly. He follows up with the headshots there onto Yebeltal. They cut them down, and London Spitfire will be able to start this series with a statement victory on Nepal. 2-1. They give up that first round, but they come back in for those last 2, and they make them considerably closer, and the third round was just very much in their hands the entire time.
I mean, London Spitfire had very good mastery of how to deal with Jinmu's Pharah. Glister was constantly tracking him. The Deadeye usage was on point. You know, if we talk about the second round there, obviously Chengdu had a lot of issues dealing with the point itself, and trying to win that crazy stagger fight really, really hurt them. But it's clearly good preparation, good coaching from the London Spitfire staff to prep Glister for Jinmu being on the Pharah. He looked extremely prepared. They dealt with Among's rotations on the Wrecking Ball as well. Very, very carefully, very much calculated, the way they were dealing with the extreme dive, so to speak. And then they forced these caps on the last round there, where they were able to go into the point itself on Village. You go into that room, and it really forces Chengdu Hunter's hand, especially when they have an awkward Doomfist, because they had to fight that crazy last-minute fight, so he came back in on the Doomfist. And they just kind of forced the positioning to be not favorable for Chengdu Hunters. Jinmu played a fantastic game on Pharah.
Absolutely.
Yveltal looked really good, but London was just one step ahead of them the whole way.
Yeah, I mean, rough tidings there for the Chengdu Hunters. Probably going to have to change things up a little bit, whether it's with the roster or just compositionally. I think that would be the first thing that I would want to tackle as you get ready to go into map number 2. But we'll see what awaits us on the other side of the break. We're going to go ahead and take a quick one, guys, and we'll see you back for map number 2 in just a few minutes.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor.
Alrighty, and welcome back. We have map 1 out of the way in this series between the London Spitfire and the Chengdu Hunters, and maybe surprising to some, London Spitfire able to close out Nepal rather handedly. It was very clean from them in the final 2 rounds of that map, Wolf.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Chengdu Hunters, the mechanical plays we were seeing from their DPS line and Yveltal as well in the Mercy, we have to highlight. They looked solid, but they were just playing, you know, Mercy Farah into a really strong McCree player in Glister, really struggling to find value on the Farah, really struggling to find barrage kills consistently. I mean, there were a few moments for Chengdu Hunters for sure, but it just felt like decision-making wise, in terms of how they were rotating and using their ults and how they were fighting the close team fights, it was a little bit off, and then they were just otherwise in the neutral playing a losing battle in terms of composition. So that's what I am worried about if they're planning on running Farah throughout the series.
Yeah.
London Spitfire is clearly prepared for that, so they might have to adapt here on the fly.
I think that they definitely need to do that if they want to find some success here. The initial start of that second round seemed really good for them on Shrine, where they kind of, you know, they had the chess game going on, and they managed to force London's hand, get them to shift, but then it just kind of flopped from there. It was a really good start. It's like, okay, you get yourself the point for free. You're generating free percentage now. But then they never altered anything in that round, and it just seems like there's that, we often call it stubbornness, maybe it's just, you know, thoughtlessness about whether or not, about whether to change the composition. Either way, it did not happen, and it comes back to bite them. So it was a strong opening in a chess game, but it just completely flopped, and they got checkmated in like 6 moves. And so,
I mean, it's like when you
think
about when you think about the players you have on Chengdu and how they've played already a lot of this season, and you think about, okay, it's a strong meta for Farah. No Diva. Diva's not in the hero pool, so you can't play Diva, one of the strongest ways to shut down a Farah. You feel pretty comfortable playing Farah if you're playing with Jinmu and Yveltal on your team, and a lot of your team's synergy is built around preparing for this moment. We're going to run Farah. It's London Spitfire. We should be okay. We could beat them if they run McCree. If you have this mindset and you're running with this squad, okay, we're going to run Wrecking Ball with this. We've got Among, a really strong Wrecking Ball player. Like, everything that Chengdu is doing makes sense. Yeah. But London just prepared, it feels like, a little bit better. And counters do exist, right? Obviously, Diva is one of the strongest counters to Farah, but McCree, if played basically perfectly, if escorted correctly, like the London Spitfires players are doing with Glister here, I mean, they're even running Reinhardt to help make sure he has a little bit of extra buffer. I mean, McCree knocks Farahs out of the sky. Deadeye is a great answer to Farah Mercy. Even if the Deadeye doesn't get the kills, it forces the Farah to move away, which means that you have free movement during that moment. Yep. So, I mean, if played in a perfect world, you know, it just feels like London Spitfire has the edge here. I think Chengdu will have to mix it up a little bit going into our further maps in the series. Yeah, well, we will be heading into Junkertown, so to see what these guys have prepared for us as we get ready to move forward. Again, already go ahead and tell you that we do have a change on the side of the Chengdu Hunters lineup, and that is going to be Bacon Jack coming through. And this is something that, while I didn't allude to it, I'll just go ahead and say that I was thinking it, because I actually was. I'm not trying to make things up and make it myself seem like a 5-head, but I was wondering, will we see that hit scan come through to try and deal with Glisters, to try to match him there? And we do see Bacon Jack coming through. Junkertown historically going to be one of the biggest Widowmaker maps that is ever been added into the Overwatch League. So this is no surprise. He's already going to be hovering the Widowmaker here for the defense. And we also have Babel coming through for the London Spitfire. Yeah, and Krillin as well coming in. So yeah, and Bernard. Like, it's a lot of changes across the board here. Bacon Jack. Yeah. Bacon Jack coming in here makes a lot of sense, given that we are seeing this Tracer Widow meta be so popular. I'm not sold on it yet. I don't know if this is going to be the standard forever or for the rest of this week, and we'll have to see how North America plays as well. But it's interesting, and there's a lot of space to work with for Tracer on Junkertown especially. You can, in the backline, you kind of avoid those Widow sightlines. We've got a lot of space to blink around. So you're gonna have to be really careful if you're a support player here, because Brigitte obviously not available this week either, or last week. So you know, supports are going to be very much exposed oftentimes on Junkertown, and you don't want to have to use your Immortality field early because of Tracers in your backline. These are cooldowns you really have to keep in mind if you're a support player. And let's see how Leave does here now that he's swapped over the Tracer.
Well, so far, not much damage at all has been exchanged between these teams. You can tell just based on the ult charges for everybody here. So, you know, Babel getting like one shot in on a tank is basically what's happened so far. So very
double
slow
shield,
build
man,
ults.
it's pretty strong against Widow.
It is. But even then, not even seeing, you know, the Tracer starting to surge forward. Like now we have Leaf pushing up past 50%, but surprised that it took that long before we even saw some Tracer damage coming through. As Babel's trying to get the line of sight there on Lengza, but he's already backed down the staircase. Molly will be eliminated though. J-Mac finds that kill. And Babel under a little bit of pressure here by the Tracer. Leaf trying to get those tags, but can't quite do it. Now they try to force the position of Bacon Jack, and they will be able to do so. Collapsing in, was just stuck between a rock and a hard place. Had Glister up close and personal, and then had Babel sitting back, ready for that shot to come through. So really good pincer move there from the London Spitfire. Alleviates a lot of pressure and allows for the rest of the team to just kind of push forward through the tanks, through the supports, and get that cart rolling into A.
Chengdu can't contest this. The deaths come through too late, and you know, contesting A is always a really risky move in the Widow meadows on Junkertown, and you know, pretty much always a Widow meta on Junkertown, just because of the open space on A. So it's a really nice time bank to start things out here, but that's just kind of the nature of the map. We'll see if they can continue that momentum as Leaf finally gets taken out here.
Yeah.
But you know, that's a risky move too, honestly, for Leaf to be out here like that and try to duel, because it's never going to be a 1-2-1 truly, and he was dealing with a lot of other pressure during that moment as well. Now that he's reset, it's going to be, you know, a little bit easier for London Spitfire to kind of force their way through these chokes and go, you know, go up onto the high ground. So rough loss there.
Oh, well, the overkill coming through there on Bacon Jack. Krillin sniping that kill away from Glister, who had the stick ready to go, but just like that, 3 more kills are in for the London Spitfire, so this card is not going to get stopped anytime soon. You can see the Chengdu Hunters a bit disjointed, now playing up around the backside. Huge accretion comes in, leads to Elsa and Lengza both getting taken down, and this is a new look for Spitfire when you look back to last week, and they seemed extremely lost.
Yeah, I mean, they look really coordinated. And this is with 2 different kind of setups of rosters as well, so
yeah,
you really have to appreciate, you know, how they're playing different compositions here. I mean, Glister's the Tracer and showcasing that they can play this meta comp really, really well. And you also have, you know, the swap over of J-Mac onto the Arisa, so just completely different styles of play, different rosters, and still looking extremely well coordinated, well oiled, and it feels like the coaching staff of London Spitfire really figured out how to get these players working together, getting them into shape together. In terms of ults right now too, London Spitfire's got a really nice setup here, and Chengdu Hunters, they cannot afford to lose this fight without Trance. They have to win it despite not having that crucial ultimate, so they need to play safe, they need to play passive, can't overextend. May even have to give this card a little bit of free push, and that's okay as long as they don't end up losing fights straight up.
Yeah, they needed to move into their line of sight for the kind of bunker step that they have going here onto the high ground. You can see now with J-Mac pushing his head out around, that costs them, but Glister gets into the back line, manages to find Bacon Jack, so suddenly a lot more space is given up, and they have to pull off that high ground. They don't have that crossfire that they want, so they just play back around the corner. I mean, this card is going to get so much free distance. They managed to get the Amp Matrix through. This will buy them some time. You can see London Spitfire just pulling back out of line of sight.
Yep, I think if Leave right now, if he just waits for a better moment than trying to commit now, okay, well, hold that thought. He's going to help take out Highly here. I think if they play passively right now, then they can start winning these fights right on the point.
Ooh, really good tag team there from Leave and Molly. Get rid of Glister. Now Babel under some fire, tries to trade this one back, jumps up, seems like he will be allowed to survive for a little bit longer. Actually gets the fadeaway, in quotations, poison trap kill onto Leave.
Yeah, I think everybody knows what you mean when you say that. So right now, like, Chengdu Hunters have finally gotten back control of this choke. That's the greatest win you can get on Sea of Junkertown, is taking this choke point. This is one of the hardest places in Overwatch to break through. It's kind of like breaking through on Mecha Base, on Busan. You know, when your opponent has control of those chokes, it's so difficult to break out without splitting up. Look at the shield. I mean, he has to use it just to walk out.
Yeah, Pulse Bomb invested there onto Among as well, so the Immortality Field does keep him alive, and they top him back up, so not going to be under threat for now. Bacon Jack, can't say the same, but Cluster doesn't manage to snipe away that Mega Pack in time, so Bacon Jack wins out on the trade. Takes a little bit of damage there from Krillin firing at a distance. Bacon Jack waiting, doesn't really have any way of getting heals right now. Pulse Bomb going to be eaten by Bernard. Then follows up, gets the kill onto the Supercharger. Babel managed to find a snipe onto Leave, getting the body shot to finish off the enemy Tracer. London Spitfires.
All the time they bought, though.
Yeah, it's still held up in that stairwell, but if they can still push through here and get the finish, that's going to be huge for them. Double pressure applied again to Bacon Jack. He's just got nowhere to go. It's constantly the Tracer Widow hounding down on top of him, putting him in such a catch-22 scenario. Glister drops in, gets the shots on Namali, cleaning him up for the delaying any hope of getting another Transcendence. At this point, need an entire fight victory if they want to try to get one of those online. Ant Matrix will come through from Langza. Inversight rolling at the moment for both of these Widowmakers. As they just try and play around each other's sightlines, get some extra shots in onto anybody else they can find. Among takes one to the dome. Obviously not going to be enough to finish him off. Flux coming through from Elsa. Going to slam them back down. Transcendence is forced by Krillin. Now Elsa, under a little bit of fire, has to retreat up the stairs, but he is getting chased. Hot on his heels right now are numerous members of the side of London Spitfire. So, see, he doesn't really know which way to look. Comes in behind highly, finds the stun. Molly scoops the kill with a headshot, and that is the time bite that they needed. Chengdu Hunters now have a very realistic chance of holding this off.
Yeah, this is looking really good for them now. Just one unfortunate team fight for London Spitfire, and all the momentum is out of their sails. And again, look at this. We're going to see that choke point control. You can see Elsa is just jumping right up onto the high ground. Look at the rest of the members of Chengdu Hunters going to take that extremely strong position here around the choke. Then London Spitfire don't have great ultimates to break through this. They're going to have the Gravitic Flux here. And it's actually the time before Molly has Transcendence, so there's an opportunity here for them to break through with that ultimate specifically.
Well, the Pulse manages to find the Immortality Field as you would come to expect. They do manage to get rid of that, so the Flux from Bernard needs to come out pretty quickly here. He's just about to have that online. Immortality Field used by the London Spitfire. The stun coming through. Maybe can wait on, but no, does go ahead, pops the Flux. Picks him up, took his time targeting, slams down Among, who is still going to be rather low. Bernard under a little bit of fire, throws out that protected barrier. The Cretan going to be met by the barrier of Elsa. Find the stun, but still so much damage coming through. This helps take them out. Among now going to be eliminated. The Immortality Field gone again. Glister in the back line, looking for the one clip. Cannot find it on the Bacon Jack. Eludes the poison trap, and the cart will be allowed to glide in with 10 seconds remaining in all of the chaos there at the end. So London Spitfire, they start off that final stretch with 4.5 minutes. They get blood down to 10 seconds, but we also see a lot of teams getting held at the end of Junkertown rather than finishing.
Yeah, I mean, they got held at the choke for quite a long time when they broke through. The second time they were at the chokehold, Chengdu didn't commit as hard as it looked like they were going to, so London got through there. Well, we have to give a ton of credit to Bernard. Subs in is playing the Sigma at an extremely high level. He absorbed a Pulse Bomb. He's constantly absorbing shields. If you look at his health bar, if you're just curious, like track his health bar throughout a lot of that push, and also, you know, in the coming forward with the kinetic grasp, like he's actually absorbing so much damage. And remember, we were talking about his Gravitic Flux in that last fight. He was at 99% when JMac used Halt, so it looked like JMac was talking with him in comms. He's like, I've got Flux. He probably said, I've got Flux, even though it was 99%. He kind of missed the window to Flux the Halt, but then picked up 2 kills anyways before he even Fluxed. Like, he's out of control right now on this hero, and I think he's one of the biggest reasons why London Spitfire is having so much success, despite being at positional disadvantages sometimes. So I'm going to be continuing to track his progress here now that they're on the defense. And Babel, another one of these rookie players, dueling Bacon Jack when he has defender's advantage. If he can actually win this duel, it makes a pretty big statement about, you know, one of the hit scan players they have here for London Spitfire. He's playing it over Glister as well. Already kind of tells you something, so excited to see how this one pans out.
Already got a really big tag there onto Among, but not leading to any kills. We'll wrap around. He's looking for that flank on the right side. He's trying to track either Bacon Jack or Leave should they push out from the far side there along the cliff.
He's trying to punish a risky play from Bacon Jack. Bacon Jack's not taking any risks right now, though.
It's not taking the bait. Alt not going to be able to find anything. And Bacon Jack can't get a headshot lined up in time to tag Glister. Ducks back around the corners, just constantly harassing. As you can go ahead and take a look at his silhouette through the wall, always playing around this side. And he goes ahead, he dashes out of there. A little bit too risky to stick around for a second shot follow-up. Bernard, under a little bit of fire, will get topped up. Just trying to play into safety, has a protective barrier well-timed as well as that kinetic grasp. Go ahead, get that shielding up as you were talking about. The Mortality Field has been
So good
used,
at it.
will be eliminated as they try to keep J-Mac alive. Discord Orb was thrown onto him, so he's hovering low. Highly now, as well with a sliver of HP, will get picked off. Lead manages to find the headshots. And it's seeming like Chengdu Hunters might just be able to push in just as quickly as we saw from London, and if not faster. Get rid of Bernard now. J-Mac manages to find Lead, gets the Orb of Harmony rolling onto him to try to keep him sustained as he moves up to stop the card. Barrier, however, going to be gone, so he's just getting free fired upon, as is Krillin now. So this will just be the cleanup and the push through. So still going to be a very huge time bank for the Chengdu Hunters for the second phase.
Yeah, I feel like something we should point out too is Bacon Jack. We watched his point of view a lot on that attack. He was able to observe that Bernard doesn't like to hold his shield out unless he's absolutely needs it. So he was looking to chunk down Bernard and put Bernard into a lot of uncomfortable positions. Speaking of uncomfortable positions for Bernard. And it was really cool to watch him just track Bernard's positioning and force him to use his shield in moments where clearly Bernard was not comfortable putting that out, and then broke it oftentimes, or allowed Among to do tons of damage to the shield there, and then gave him an opportunity for headshots. Like, he's really playing with Bernard's head and messing with his how long he wants to keep the shield held, so it's always at high health when it's needed. And just punishing how Bernard has been not keeping his experimental barrier out that much. So cool to see that.
Oh, London Spitfire now need to try and engineer a stop on the cart. Supercharger just going to be focused there with the Pulse Bomb. Do get rid of one tool.
Leaves out here like nobody sees him.
Yeah, gets his way in. Now he's completely spotted, and Glister finds Bacon Jack yet again. Even the back, just too many people for him to try to deal with, so he goes back up the top. And Neville just not paying attention to that flank. Gets completely cut down the one clip. Beautifully done by Leaf, but Glister is looking to replicate that success. Will go ahead and help force out that Transcendence. As Leaf continues to pop off, manages to find two as Highly and J-Mac will both fall. Transcendence here from Krillin. It's not in time to try and save their lives, and Leaf finds another one, and another one. Glister answers back onto Among. It's a battle of the Tracers right now to see who can pop off just a little bit harder, but it seems like with Glister taken down by Molly, it's going to be Leaf by default coming out on top. 4 minutes, 50 seconds in the time bank now for the Chengdu Hunters in the final stretch here on Junkertown.
The most critical thing here for the Chengdu Hunters is to not... Right now, they don't have a lot of ults. They have, like, a Pulse Bomb and, you know, wall hacks, basically. It's important for them to not overcommit and lose this fight. They need to push this slow, because if they overcommit before they have ults, they're going to find themselves choke point held just like they saw before. I'm going to take a look at this replay of Leave here in the back line, how much damage he's able to get done. Getting that 2K. But, yeah, they need to not overcommit. I don't know what's happening in the current state of the game, but...
Let's not be anything too exciting. We'll go ahead and take a look. There's a Supercharger now, so the barriers are up. So we didn't miss too much. The Infrasight was used by Bacon Jack. Among's getting closer to a Supercharger of his own. But aside from that, seems like not too much has transpired.
They're playing it slow. They're not overcommitting. This is the kind of slow push I think you really need to make sure you don't lose that fight at the choke.
I was a bit wanting there with that Pulse Bomb drop. Doesn't manage to find anything for his troubles. That's okay. They have time on their side. Chengdu Hunters can afford to pulse out Pulse Bombs like that.
All right, this is really good for the Hunters. They're actually being so efficient with this push right now. They have the Amplification Matrix. I don't even know if they have to commit it, but they can take control of the high ground with it. They are going to commit.
Yep, they go ahead. They use that one. Krillin under a little bit of fire. Falls down low. Actually pushes back out after getting shot at by Lee. Finishes off Elsa, and Glister comes in to scoop the kill. So very nicely done. The cart will get dangerously closer to the end as Bacon Jack gets a final snipe onto Highly, but they will finally be staved off. But Hunters, they built up a lot of distance for not that much of a time investment.
And when they lost the fight too, like just to further the push on this idea, when they lost the fight, they retreated really early so they didn't get completely wiped. And now London can't push up to this corner and control them again. You know, like we saw the Hunters for them. Pulse here, I think, not going to connect. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Pulse Bomb lob that time from Glister. But
yeah, pretty long lob. Yeah. Risky move, but it could have paid off big time.
Sometimes you just have to go for it. Babel for
yeah,
a little
I
bit
mean,
I
appreciate
here.
it.
Has to retreat off the high ground until he can get a health pack or get top back up. You can see the split contention here from Chengdu Hunters. Multiple members leaping up, dropping back down, constantly playing on the low ground, on the high ground. Highly gets rid of a lot of pressure on the low ground, though, by eliminating Lee. Oversight is rolling here from Bacon Jack, but with these kills coming through, you would expect that Chengdu have to go ahead and peel back, especially with Bacon Jack being able to play forward anymore.
this is a really awkward fight for the Chengdu Hunters. They don't want to commit trance because it's not really the heavy fight they want. They still have 2 minutes. They still can beat the time bank if they have a really nice fight. So they just slowly back away. Really nice healing coming through from Lynx to make sure they can do that. I think this next fight is going to be the one they try to close the map with here. With that Gravitic Flux, they have all the tools to make this an insane push. If they could just bait out Krillin's trance first, that would be their ideal fight.
Well, they have the Flux now, so should be able to get rid of that Transcendence rather easily as Leave tries to get that 1v1 fight here versus Glister. Will get taken down, though. 2 members going to be gone as Elsa uses the Flux, only finds Bernard. Do the Chengdu Hunters, and this is again going to be another stagger. The problem, you know, they still have time on their side. The problem is losing out on that Flux and not getting the Transcendence out of Krillin.
Yeah, that was a massive play from Krillin to get that kill too. I mean, this is an insane position now for London Spitfire because they have Supercharger, they have Transcendence. Chengdu Hunters have great opening tools. It's really going to have to be up to Leave or Bacon Jack to get an opening kill, some sort of pick. But they don't have angles to do so, right? If Leave tries to get into the back line, he's just going to get spotted and taken out. Bacon Jack doesn't have great line of sight. He's going to have to play risky. I think on the high ground, he's actually playing it safer, which is tough to do when you only got 50 seconds and no great ultimates.
Yeah, this could be a bit of a photo finish, maybe an OT push in if the London Spitfire cannot pull off the successful defense to try to move up 2-0. Supercharger going to be thrown down by J-Mac, empowering the rest of his squad for the moment. Mortality Guild already going to be cleaned up, but Glister doesn't have a pulse bomb to use on the back end of that one to try to find some instant picks. Dabble going to be taken down. Elsa finds that kill, but he's left with a sliver of HP, so the Transcendence will come through as he pushes over to try to save his life, but he's unable to do so. Imong, however, does manage to find Krillin, so all his hope is not lost yet for the Chengdu Hunters, who continue to pick up kills. Now with Bernard falling, seems like they can get that cart rolling. They will be able to do so. They will be able to move in. And it is going to be very slim margins of difference right now. 1 minute and 4 seconds to 1 minute flat.
Yeah, I mean, it's the photo finish you were talking about. Very, very close between these two squads. It's kind of funny how overtime works, or how like defending pushes like this work on C, or at the end of any hybrid or escort map. Because London Spitfire, a lot of their players got super low early in that fight, and they kind of retreated. You could see Glister was kind of hanging back at 20% health or less, and so many members of London Spitfire are low and about to die, and they're trying to stay alive. But the irony is that because at that point the cart wasn't on top of C, had they just died and respawned, they might have had a better chance to really take that fight. It's really unfortunate when half your team is at like half health on C, because if you die, if everyone dies at the same time, then they just push it to C. But if you stay alive at low health and you come back to contest, then you just die at the worst possible moment, then they finish the map. So that was kind of unfortunate with everyone's health pools there for London Spitfire, but they put up a pretty nice heroic defense there. And this is, ending up being a really, really close map, much closer than Nepal. And the playstyles of these two teams are completely different as well. We're seeing way more aggressive play from Chengdu Hunters, and London Spitfire is playing a lot passively. Bernard's shield play I was talking about earlier, where he tries to not put that out unless he absolutely has to, is something that I'm enjoying watching. Bacon Jack's adaptation to that. And I mean, it's an escort map, 1 minute apiece essentially here, so this is anyone's game to take. Would not be surprised if this goes past A though, because you really only need one team fight as attackers to get that A push. So that's what the Spitfire are banking on here, is getting a pick right now.
Well, so far, it's looking like a lot of the same. Everybody is playing away from the sight lines. See that first big tag come through here onto Elsa. Glister and Leave now starting to get up close and personal with the rest of the squad, but Babel finds the snipe, gets rid of Among. Covers that right side flank on the high ground. Pops up, looks for a shot, looks for a target. Oop. Barely misses out on Bacon Jack there for a moment. Now sees him. Leave recalls, only has 90 HP, 72 remaining as he and Glister continue to duke it out. He's looking for his opportunity to exit and try to get some heals here from the rest of his squad. Cart in the meantime, freely been pushing forward. Amon comes back in with a wrecking ball, immediately receives that Discord orb, and Krillin cuts him down. Now Molly going to be gone. It's looking like the London Spitfire will not be stopping before A. They will be able to push this through. They get the cleaned up kills, they roll in, but they have to stay glued to this cart.
Yeah, and this is one of those moments for the Chengdu Hunters where you're going to learn a lot about their patience, because it feels terrible to let a cart just roll like this, but they don't have ultimates to stop it right now. And we actually live in a reality where London's probably going to get B here because they have the better ultimates. They had that crushing Hunters, when you collapse on this point, you Chengdu will probably lose the team fight. London will get even more ultimates, and then it becomes a crazy snowball effect. So they really need to play safely and passively. They're not going to get a chance anytime soon. I mean, Leave can try to look for a risky pulse, but besides that, you just have to let the cart roll. And it really sucks when you're in positions like that in overtime like this, but Chengdu really don't have a choice, and London is just going to play passive and stick to the cart, and this is just an inevitability as it rolls forward.
Pulse bomb stick comes through, but that's going to be the immortality field out from Langza to keep himself alive. Babel manages to find a headshot kill there onto Leave. Glister pushing forward now, going to be looking for Molly. He's hunting around on the back side. He'll just go ahead, moves up to the high ground, drops back down, has a great flank angle here onto the tanks, and highly manages to find aim on the pressure. Collapsing in from both sides costs them dearly. They lose out on one of those barriers. Now Elsa has to try and survive. Molly as well, being chunked down rather low. That's going to be the Flux coming through. Will slam him back down. He does not yet have the Transcendence line, and Langza will get finished off now. Elsa going to be gone as well, and Molly picked off by Glister with the melee shots. A London Spitfire will in fact be able to roll forward onto point B, as Wolf was alluding to. This is absolutely huge for them.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of, I hear my mic is cutting out a little bit, so hopefully everyone heard what I was saying about that, but otherwise Seth's statement doesn't make sense. But I was saying it was kind of an inevitability they get B, but Chengdu is, and I'm getting confirmation my mic is good now, so Chengdu is actually, they let this kind of happen, but I think they had to. And now they're in a pretty good position to shut this down, especially with Leave getting that opening pick onto Babel. This is a really nice spot for Chengdu to end this now, this overtime push.
Yeah, they have the Empress side rolling as well, so Glister trying to get a flank angle is going to be that much more difficult. You can see Leave pushing up, trying to get rid of the Supercharger, will be able to do so finally as the Flux comes in. Immortality Field saves Bernard, the pulse bomb from Leave, finds Highly. They're looking to shut this one down. Transcendence going to be expiring as soon as it does. Krillin, however, he strikes back, he finds Molly, and J-Mac can sort of aim. Krillin will be eliminated, however, but Elsa falling lower and lower under fire. Will get finished off by Glister as Leave does the same onto J-Mac. All-out brawl here on the cart as London Spitfire desperately try to keep it contested, but they break away. They get the Hunters off of the cart for now, and Bernard puts himself in such a bad position. The mortality field has to be used. Or sorry, Langza.
This is like, yeah, this is actually really, really, really crazy. London Spire's coordination, their synergy is so good. They're winning so many fights with so little down members. Look at this Wrecking Ball just pushing them away. And the cart just keeps rolling. They're just looking for meters right now, and they're getting them.
Well, they do manage to find J-Mac. See, Zenyatta's doing a really good job of being a counter to that one. The mortality field will come through as they try to keep Bernard alive again. Nearly has that Flux ready to go, but he will get finished off by the Accretion. The cart, you see the OT starting to bleed away rather quickly as Leave is eliminated, but has such a fast run back here for the rest of the squad. Bacon Jack gets the shot there onto Babel. They nearly cleared them off the cart. The roll back through right the last possible fraction of a second there from J-Mac buys them a little bit more time, but it does not buy them distance. But man, starting with a minute, London Spitfire were able to get that snowball rolling so quickly and so efficiently that you have to question whether or not Chengdu Hunters are even going to come remotely close to replicating that push.
And that's the kind of, like, remember when Chengdu Hunters played passively on B on that overtime push and they kind of stayed back knowing they didn't have ultimates. That's a sign of, I feel like, the evolution of Chengdu Hunters is not just this crazy aggressive team who's going to take every fight anymore, run crazy compositions. I feel like the Chengdu Hunters we're watching right now is a smarter, more well-rounded team than they ever were last year. And even, I mean, for part of the beginning of this season as well, I feel like they've improved so much more than what the old identity of the Chengdu Hunters was. Just watching them be patient, just watching them allow London Spitfire to go forward because they knew if they fought, then London Spitfire would actually take an even better lead, take even more ultimates. And having the confidence to know, okay, this was really unfortunate. They're going to take B basically for free, but we don't have ults, we can't fight that. Like, that takes a lot of discipline because anyone who has played any Overwatch, whether it's ranked or quick play, will tell you that it feels terrible to watch that cart just roll forward when they had 1 minute left, and it just keeps rolling. Yeah. You feel like you have to fight. We have to fight now. You know, we have to take this. We can't let them get any more distance. We only have 1 minute too. But they had that discipline. They had that confidence that they can have a stronger push here if they have a similar attack on A. And we'll see if they can do just that, because that's really what's going to be the biggest determining factor here for them to match that push.
Well, instant change here for Babel. Smart sniper play. Never peek from the same spot twice in a row. Babel, or Bacon Jack rather, going to get pulled in, and Krillin has just been on point with these halts. The communication between he and J-Mac seemingly just phenomenal, because he has been scooping so many more kills than we've really ever seen from Krillin in the past. So already really great time by as they had to wait for that respawn to come through. Down to 25 seconds. Cart just now getting here into the underpass.
Bacon Jack might have to take a risk here if nothing else happens. They're looking for the kill on to J-Mac, but he's hiding. He's just playing super safe. Bacon Jack just sticking over here behind this barrier, looking for a single kill. That's all they need, but it's just so hard to get that.
Yeah. We're moving into overtime now. Leave with the Discord Orb, going to be tracked. Glister duking it out with him up close and personal. Leave, however, breaking away. Glister makes his way into the back line. He's looking for the finish there on the Lengza. Has to get forced to use the recall. Picks up that Mega Pack as well. And we can see the Bacon Jack and Molly have both fallen out. Among going to be gone. The options here for the Chengdu Hunters of who they can have stay on the card are all but gone. There we go. An extended team wipe does come through. London Spitfire hold them at point A in the overtime rounds. And they take the map. They move up 2-0. They are now at match point. And the Chengdu Hunters, they are in a position that we just saw Seoul Dynasty in. They have to try and reverse sweep.
And that was, I mean, that was such a desperate position for the Chengdu Hunters. Like, throughout that entire map, it felt like they were so close yet so far. Molly died. Molly was the first person to die in that last attempt to push there because we had his first person move up for a second. He was trying to flank. Like, he was pushing to the side because they were getting so desperate. He's like, well, you know, Bacon Jack Kennedy shots. I'm going to try to go around the barrier and get a kill. He gets spotted by Bernard. Bernard takes him out. Now all their Discord orbs are gone. That lost a huge amount of healing. This is actually a really fun series to watch so far. And I feel like Chengdu, despite losing, is making a lot of smart decisions right now. And that is really exciting for me because I feel like, historically speaking, Chengdu is kind of just like, whatever, we're going to fight them. Like, you know, like,
throw bodies at the cart and
our DPSs are good. Like, yeah, what could go wrong? But I feel like this is a really smart series from Chengdu Hunters, when especially against a weaker opponent, arguably, in our Asia group, for them to really take this seriously. It's impressive. I feel like I'm seeing a change with Chengdu, even though they're losing. And London Spitfire looks incredible, so yeah, I'm having a fun time.
Well, we've got plenty to talk about, and we'll have a little bit of time to decompress and go back through those first two maps when we go to halftime. So we'll see you guys in just a few, so stay tuned.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for our game break presented by Cheez-It Grooves. We've had a bit of a lopsided series for people's expectations, I would say. Wolf, I myself was kind of anticipating to see the Chengdu Hunters perhaps have a closer series against the London Spitfire, but I was certainly expecting them to be the team up 2-0 at this point. Instead, it's been completely flipped on its head. London Spitfire, they get the first two maps. Yeah,
I mean, London Spitfire is playing really, really well. Remember, this is also crazier than just them playing well because it's with two kind of different rosters. They played a counter composition to what Chengdu was playing. Then Chengdu went back to like the meta Tracer Widow, and then London Spitfire played the better Tracer Widow with a new roster. The coordination between Krillin, for example, who almost never sees play, right, with him and JMac was like super, super high level. You pointed out the halts into him just getting these crazy discords into insta kills on members that are getting pulled up out of shield range or out of shield protection was really awesome to see. There's like a real world where London Spitfire might have just become a really strong team finally. Like really, really strong.
I mean, doing that within a week span where they looked just not good last week, to be perfectly frank, that's massive improvement. It seems like maybe that's coming from the side of just the cohesion in the squad. But it's time to go ahead, take a deeper dive into the conversation that's surrounding this map right now with our crunch time, of course, presented by Cheez-It Grooves as well. So, Wolf, what would you like to dive into today?
Well, I want to talk about the styles that we're seeing from these Widowmaker players, because Widowmaker is super important right now in this meta, and it's really cool to see how both of these Widowmaker players are actually playing really safe, especially Babel, it feels like, because Babel, a lot of the time when you see a Widowmaker player, like Babel would do this where he'd see where Bacon Jack was, right? And then Bacon Jack would notice him first, and Bacon Jack, like, he would say, okay, I know where Bacon Jack is. Bacon Jack would miss the shot, and a lot of Widowmaker players out there would instantly try to scope in and, like, try to win that duel. But Babel just never, he would just be like, oh, well, he saw me first, and I'm not even going to try it. He missed the first shot, but it's just not worth taking the risk because I can go threaten the Orisa from a different side. I can go threaten, the Sigma player. I can break the shield, stuff like that. Like, I really appreciate how Babel's doing that. On the other side of things, Bacon Jack is playing pretty similarly as well. He's not, being as safe, but he is playing behind shields. He's not flanking as much, which is kind of what Bacon Jack normally does. But in this meta, he's playing safe. He's respecting Babel so much too, even though Babel's a rookie player. It's very new. You could tell he's clearly hit him before on the ladder. He knows how good he is, and he's playing safe. He's playing behind shields. And I just love to see a Widowmaker duel that is almost prideless, if that makes sense, where these two players are just going to say, you know what, I'd rather be alive longer and look for a better opportunity than try to take that shot and win the 1v1 duel. They're just kind of saying, okay, if you saw me first, I'm not gonna try this. I'm not gonna look for the flashy play. I'm just gonna play it safe. And that style of play is like so rare in Asia, I feel like, and especially when you look at a player like Bacon Jack, you just think there's no way he'll ever just play chill and play slow and play safe, right? But we're seeing that from Chengdu today, and I'm hoping we see more Widow. Looking at the maps, we're going to Blizzard World next, so I think we definitely will. It's an extremely good Widow map. Yeah, so I want to see if anything changes, but I think Chengdu could bounce back in this series. I really think they have a decent shot at it.
I mean, a lot of people thought that, Dynasty was down and out in their series versus Charge when they got, put 0-2 in the hole. So I agree. I think the Chengdu Hunters certainly could make a bit of a comeback here. Whether that they can close out the series, I really don't know. That's entirely up in the air. I said at the beginning of this broadcast, why not another Game 5? So maybe that is going to be the case here. We're going to find out in a little bit. That is it for our game break and our crunch time, so thank you guys for tuning into that one. But we're going to be back with the rest of this series in just a little bit, so stay put.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch. The Overwatch League is brought to you by ZipChair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League.
Alrighty, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to get the rest of this series underway, and there might not be that much left of it, Wolf.
Might
London
not.
Spitfire currently up 2-0. Just need one more to close this out. The Chengdu Hunters need to pull off a reverse sweep if they want to be victorious. And as we get ready to go into our next and potentially final map of Blizzard World, they are making some changes, a change, and it's not necessarily the one that you might have expected.
Yeah. Bacon Jack is staying in, and A-Ting is actually coming in over Among. So
yeah.
I have a strange pick. Perhaps they're not happy with Among's Orisa performance so far, and Orisa's going to be extremely critical on Blizzard World, unless they were going to do something crazy and run dive or something like that, which, you know, we have seen on Blizzard World already so far. But I will see what he ends up playing, but I think it's just going to be Orisa. And I guess they are unhappy with, so far, what we've seen from Among. I know, by the way, just to put this out there, I know because people watching the VOD are probably confused as well, but so I don't know what was going on with my mic. I unplugged a lot of things from my computer. Hopefully it's working. I know a lot of you guys like tweeting at me and stuff. I think I fixed it. Everyone's tweeting. I'm like, wow, nice internet connection, bro. I'm like, I'm in Korea, man. I have like better internet than you've like ever even imagined, but I don't know what's going on with my mic, but hopefully it's fixed.
Right.
Sorry for that, guys.
Good brag. Good brag.
But yeah, everyone's like, well, I don't know. Wolf doesn't seem like his internet connection is that good. I'm like, listen, if there's one thing I do have,
speed test reply, everybody. Just look at this gig up and down.
I just want to apologize though for the issues they're having earlier. I have as many USB plugs plugged in as I have like megabit download.
Yeah, well, I think that might have been the issue. So
might have
there's
been the problem.
no further problems moving forward. But yeah, I mean, you were talking about some dive. We're seeing hints of that here from the Chengdu Hunters as they think it will be on the Winston. But Bacon Jack's going to be on Reaper with Lee sticking to the Tracer.
He's checking corners with that emote as well. Looks like he's going to scout out the composition and run back because he's got an escape.
Sea of Thieves strats, you know.
Sea of Thieves strats, there you go. They're going to change the composition as soon as they see the Zarya, etc., and run the Orisa push with McCree. And that actually has a lot. They can kind of outrange and outpoke the Chengdu Hunters with the McCree, so I actually like this choice. It's not as risky as going for something like a Widow, because you still have really strong pushing power with the McCree. I mean, look at how quickly they're able to just force their way up right onto the point. Chengdu Hunters in an awkward spot.
This is where the Hunters have to fight, and they have to find success. If this gets broken down, I mean, they don't build up much as far as ults, except for a nano boost, which will only help them on really one player. So they need to win this fight, but already it's going to be taken down. Now Leng's are going to be gone as well. Babel finds the headshot, and things are looking rather dire as Glister tries to track Leave, but Bernard is already in front of him on that note. So yeah, it will just be you know, a slightly delayed single push onto point A for the cap. London Spitfire, they start off this Streets phase of Blizzard World with over 5 minutes in the time bank, and I mean, things start looking a little bit rough here for the Hunters. They nearly have that grab online at 65%, but also going to have to build up that energy to be a real threat, and they don't have something like a Death Blossom to dump on top of it. They're going to have to go for you know, a big bang, perhaps.
They're going to just try to nano hard engage onto this to get that energy up. It's not working.
Bernard manages to find one. 18 just getting chunked out as he leaps into the air there.
What a strange strategy.
Discord Orb's doing so much, yeah, and he's just got to exit. So the Primal Rage gets some absolutely nothing.
Remember when I was talking about Chengdu Hunters has changed and like they don't do stuff like this anymore? I might have to take a little bit of that back. Like that was a really haphazard engage. They had nano and they thought maybe in the choke they could, you know, put A-Ting in, he primals, Elsa gets high energy, gets a grab, and they take the fight. It's not a bad decision by any means, but it's really hard to make that work when your opponent knows your win conditions in a fight like that. And London Spitfire was just like, yeah, okay, Immortality Field's a thing, and they just pick him off instantly. And that's one ult down for the Chengdu Hunters. 2 ults down, I should say. Primal committed there as well.
Yeah, rough tidings for them. Elsa's still going to be holding on to that Graviton Surge. Leave has the Pulse Bomb ready to go to try and get that big bang, but Immortality Field is going to be such a big denier in that play. If they can try to bait that out, then maybe they can pull this off. Deadeye comes through from Babel, just goes ahead, zones everybody back, keeps them away. Grab does manage to come through. Pulse Bomb is ready. The stick will come out. Immortality Field ready to respond. Doesn't even get finished off actually by the explosive damage. And London Spitfire, they come out of the Graviton Surge. They shake it off. They get some kills, and they just glide their way into point B. Still almost 5 minutes in the time bank.
It's so hard to grab right now. Like when you had goats, it was a little bit different. Everyone's running goats, and you know there's Sombra that can take away the trance. Like Sombra goats can take away your transcends, etc. But when you're just running, you know, this comp that the Chengdu Hunters are running, like okay, we can Immortality Field for a second, we can trance. And you're not really just gonna walk up and kill everyone in most cases when they have a transcendence like that. So it's hard, you know. The EMP really would change a lot of that, and if they had Sombra available, they'd probably be running that over the Tracer here, but since it's not available for play this week, I mean, you're having a hard time.
Flux going to be coming through, 18 popping the Primal Rage in response, but they give so much damage to him in midair that he just gets melted. Bernard with the bounces there on the spheres takes down Leave as well, so it's another 3 kills, and I don't think I even have to question it to clarify. This is Bacon Jack's first Death Blossom that he is still building. He is just now hitting 92%, about to roll through.
This is an insane push.
It's such a slow build on the ultimate because he hasn't been able to get anything done. They've just been getting swept under the rug time and time again. Sound Barrier will come through from Langs, and now that Blossom will be online, but can they get an opportunity to use it? Langs is the first one to fall. Now Elsa's going to be gone. Molly eliminated by Babel. He'll go ahead and pop it, but he gets absolutely nothing. It doesn't even last a second. He just instantly popped the Deadeye, gets lead, and they glide through. 335 from the London Spitfire. They just absolutely clapped the cheeks of the Chengdu Hunters.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen a Blizzard World push that went that way. I mean, that includes like World Cup matches. You know, everybody's seen a few of those where it's like, oh, okay, well, it's Korea versus like, you know, there's another team that got a 6 squad together from their country. Bless them, they're trying, but I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that before. That was extremely one-sided. And, I mean, you're talking about Death Blossom build-up being so slow. They had never really had fights on their terms. They had the grab fight. Finally, they got the grab. And then, you know, as I was talking about the trance, it's ready. They've got Immortality Field. I think Linksa, I'd have to go back and check, but I think Linksa died in the middle of his Sound Barrier cast. I don't think the Sound Barrier actually went off, so That's another issue for the Chengdu Hunters. They don't have that shield they were expecting to have when they did collapse in to look for that fight. And, I mean, everything goes wrong for them. They're running a composition that a lot of teams were trying, and Hangzhou Spark was really, really into it for a little while over the past few weeks, running the Zarya comp, sometimes with the Winston, usually with the Winston. And it's not like it's a crazy comp we've never seen before. It's not like, they're in the Chengdu zone now, haha! So it wasn't like that, but I don't know, the execution left a little bit to be desired, and I think that London Spitfire is just on a roll right now. I mean, even just watching Glister jump back and forth on this little balloon platform thing, you can just tell these guys are literally on cloud 9 right now. I mean, they are in a fantastic mood, and their morale could not be higher, and they're just having fun bopping the Hunters right now.
Don't mention Cloud9. They don't want to think about pulling one of those right now.
Not right now.
But it seems highly unlikely given the pace of the game that they have set. I mean, we'll have to double check with Captain Planet when he is awake as far as the what record that could have been for Blizzard World, but that's got to be one of the fastest times.
Oh, certainly, at least this year. I mean, yeah. Absolutely.
I think it might be the fastest time this year, but I don't have him whispering in my ear to let me know that, unfortunately. So I'll have to double check unless somebody wants to be a bit of a detective in the chat and on Reddit and let us know. But either way, just a devastating push.
We were talking about this, and Chengdu is making very little progress on their attack. They're not even able to pressure London Spitfire on this first move out. They've gone to a more meta composition here. Early Immortality Field, really unfortunate for them. That means it's going to be really hard for them to actually push the go button, press W, and move in here. But there's a pick.
Yep, that's going to be an exchange on the Zenyatta's, though, as Battle finds a headshot there on the Molly. Looking for a little bit more, but now no supports available for the London Spitfire on this defense, and they've been routed around behind the point, so definitely not where they want to be with their double shield occupiers. So we'll get pushed off, and this will be a cap coming through for the Chengdu Hunters. So good momentum here at the start. We'll have to see how they persevere and continue with this win in their sails here for the next phase.
I'm a little bit surprised Babel is not interested in swapping to the Widowmaker after that failed defense, because he could have had a really nice sightline advantage, and obviously just would crush the matchup versus Bacon Jack to start as the defenders. But he's halfway to a Bob, decides to keep the Ashe here, and you do gain a lot from the Dynamite as well. It's not just the sniper duel that you're concerned about. There's other reasons to pick the Ashe here, but he sticks with it, and they're just going to hang back here. They might think Molly has Transcends because he did so much damage in the last fight, but he doesn't have it yet. Just playing safe. They know they have an insane time bank, so why force the issue here when you could just play passive?
See Molly desperately trying to keep his teammates alive, but Bacon Jack just going to be taken down. Stick comes through, doesn't have any way of denying that one, and actually I believe moves out of the Immortality Field by accident, so just gets popped by that Pulse Bomb. Also, right up close and personal here with everybody on the London Spitfire. Does not stand a chance, so even with that shield coming through from the kinetic grasp, he does just fall over.
Yeah, I mean, in that last fight too, it's either moved out of the Immortality Field or Bernard blew it up, but like the coordination, the communication to make sure that Immortality Field goes down ASAP is there. And London are actually playing really far forward now as well. There's one of those games where you could just tell the London Spitfire players are like, okay, this is over. Like, this isn't even a series anymore. They're not even going to use the choke point. They're going up onto the high ground on A. They're resetting this map back to capture A to get the payload.
They pretty much are. I mean, look at this. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Glister, really with the pulse ready to go. Bernard has the flux. Elsa using his own. Part will start moving forward as I guess Bacon Jackson pop off the side of the map. I guess he dove off the dock. Didn't quite see exactly where he was going, but now we have the flux coming through. And Molly will force the trance to try to keep his teammates alive, but with Glister's pulse going in, they get the follow-up on the Lengza. Leave dies as well. And London Spitfire just continue to advance. They just push at the Chengdu Hunters, and they just continue to crumble under this applied pressure.
Yeah, I mean, London Spitfire is actually just playing with their food a little bit as well. Like, you don't even ideally want to be out here. Like, almost ever on Blizzard World, you've got such a great choke to operate around. They're basically spawn capping Chengdu Hunters right now. I mean, they're like one step away from that. That's actually going to allow Leave to backdoor this a little bit. And London has to be, all right, okay, we'll step back onto the point. They actually don't have high ground here for just a second, so there's a little sliver of time where Chengdu could make something happen. Unfortunately, they're out of range for that supercharge to really make any impact. We're just gonna watch Bob.
Yep. Goodbye. My job here is done. Actually, he took one look at the fight and he's like, I can't save this. I'm out. Like, you guys, good luck. I'm bouncing. This is screwed. So he dips, and here we are. The card is still slowly trickling forward here for the Chengdu Hunters, now being contested by Glister. And as they get the pick off here onto Aiting, it's just going to remain stagnant now and start getting some rollback coming through. 1 minute and 36 seconds on the clock for the Chengdu Hunters, and I just...
You can feel the frustration
I'm lost
is there.
for thought right now.
Like, we don't talk about morale too much in Overwatch League matches with veterans like the Chengdu Hunters, where it's like, okay, these guys are not rookies, they're not just upset because they're having a hard series, but you can feel there's like a huge momentum swing, and London Spitfire are having the time of their lives, and Chengdu are just struggling right now.
Well, Babble's bomb doesn't go off the side of the dock, but it also doesn't last very long either, so it gets taken down rather quickly by the Chengdu Hunters with their focus fire. Get the pull through together in with the Flux. A massive pickup here, but you do have, of course, that Immortality Field to try and elongate their lives, but unfortunately for most of the Chengdu Hunters, it just doesn't elongate it very long at all. So 4 members picked off on the back end there as Glister hunts for another one. He's not going to push forward to try to mess with Bacon, Jack, and leave. Bernard, however, has his own thoughts and says,
Bernard's insane.
Go for it, gets the kill.
What a crazy guy. He hit that amazing Flux, too, that JMac just served him up on a silver platter, golden platter even. The halts are good. There's no Diva, so it's harder to counterplay that. But, I mean, right now, Chengdu, they have 4 ultimates. Great ultimates here, but Krillin's got a trance, and I don't know, man. It does not look like a happy ending here.
Yeah, they're
the
looking
Chinese
for that
squad.
whole pulse together. Don't manage to find anything off the back end of that one. Immortality Field's going to be burned by the Chengdu Hunters. Molly's still going to be holding on to the Transcendence, waiting for his moment. Bomb tossed in. No water for him to dive into this time, but gets stopped short here. He's going to be firing away at that supercharger. Cart is contested for the Chengdu Hunters. Molly still holds on to the ultimate, and London Spitfire don't have much to work with in that department. Molly getting burned down lower and lower to eventually crumble to the pressure. Pops a Transcendence, moves his way over for the rest of the team as JMac will fall. Space opened up to try and get this card to glide through. Spitfire, do they recontest or do they just let it go? Seems like they will be pushing forward. Immortality Field's going to be tossed out. Bernard makes his way up. Bob gets thrown down as well. Going to be hovering in the back as the Dynamite gets tossed in, looking for the kill. Babel manages to find 2, and that is it. They cannot stay on the cart. They keep them shoved back, and the London Spitfire sweep the Chengdu Hunters 3-0 in this series.
Oh, look, this is a pretty memorable series for me. Like, I think I'll probably remember this one for the rest of the season as like the moment that London Spitfire like really came online, because they had remember in their last series, I believe it was against Shanghai that you and I cast, like they had like a shining moment at the end of the series, but it was too little too late and it wasn't good enough, and it felt like, oh, okay, like maybe with this completely different swapped roster maybe it'll be better, maybe they're figuring something out. But this is just like coordination to the next level. Like, these guys are clearly grinding really hard. The coaching staff is helping them prepare, and I am just really, really impressed with the performances off from London Spitfire. And I feel like if they can keep playing like this, I mean, there's no limits to what they could achieve going into this June tournament.
I'm looking forward to seeing them play against somebody who's not the Shanghai Dragons, but who's also not the Chengdu Hunters. So somebody a little bit more of a mid-table team like the Seoul Dynasty and potentially the Hangzhou Spark. I want to see how that matchup goes for them, and if they have the same level of execution that we just saw here, because this looked like London Spitfire being extremely good, but this also looked like the Chengdu Hunters becoming the most Chengdu Hunters that they've ever been. Yeah,
at the end there especially, oh my goodness.
Wild, nonsensical play, and just sticking to comps for far too long. We saw that at the very beginning. That is what cost them Nepal, and then we see the Reaper there on that defense, never swapping away from it and just never getting anything done whatsoever. So definitely some confusing moments there on the side of the Chengdu Hunters, so need to see how they bounce back, but also how London performs moving forward, moving deeper here in the month of June. Our player of the match, though, I think you could make a couple different arguments for a lot of people here, but Glister is our player of the match presented by Xfinity. He was in the series the entire time, and he never really dipped down. He always played the same level.
I mean, he played a great Tracer, but his McCree was oftentimes, like, I think, really a big game changer. On Nepal in particular, it really shut down what Chengdu were trying to do with the Pharah, so Chengdu had a really rough time there. He's obviously subbed out right after that, and Chengdu might have looked bad in this series because it couldn't run the Pharah, because they might have planned to run that on some of the other maps, because it's certainly possible to run Pharah on Junkertown, on Blizzard World, for example. Literally really shut him down, had played a great Tracer. I think a big honorable mention for me is going to be obviously Bernard, I've talked about a lot. Yeah. But then you've got Krillin, who's obviously was subbed in late in the series. He was god tier.
Isn't that the best game that Krillin's ever played?
Yeah, I don't know, man. You were talking about you want to see them play against not a Shanghai Dragons. I want to see them play against New York right now. I want to see them play against Seoul. Like, that's what I want to see. Like, I think we have to raise expectations for London Spitfire after this series. Like, he is going up. They're going up in the power rankings, not he. I was going to say he, as in Avast, is going to be putting him up in the power rank, because he probably will when he watches this VOD, but wow.
We'll have to see. Sometimes he's a bit of a stickler about that stuff and wants to see
a
little bit more from them.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think that you could swap something around there. Yeah, London just looking damn good in that set.
Expectations are up. I mean, we can be disappointed in their next series if they do not play to this level. But I think we have to be a little bit excited right now for London Spitfire. Just a little bit. Like, I think we have to be like, you know what? I could see some really good things there.
Yeah, I mean, the bar has now been set for this squad and what they can accomplish and, how cohesive they can be. So anything less than that is going to be disappointing from them. So I'm looking forward to seeing the continued growth of the squad because, night and day difference compared to last week to here today. So fantastically done from them. I'm sure they're going to be feeling very good about that victory. But we're not done yet, Wolf. We still have one more series tonight. And this is going to be, this is looking like a pretty good one. We have the Hangzhou Spark with their recent pickups getting ready to go up against the NYXL. We've already seen Hoxel on this lineup. Will we see him again? Well, I'm not sure if they've announced it, but I actually haven't even looked at the roster sheet yet. But we'll find out. Either way, exciting series, so make sure you guys, you chug an energy drink, you get some coffee, whatever you got to do to stay awake, and you tune in for that one because we're going to be back with it in just a few minutes.